Here is the latest update as far as how long it takes to get your passport back. As of March 24th, 2023, the processing times as of March 24th are, if you do routine, it's 10 to 13 weeks. Expedited is 7 to 9 weeks. And then there are special cases where you can expedite it at the agency. Apply between February 6th and March 23rd is 8 to 11 weeks for routine. Expedited is 5 to 7 weeks. And expedited at agency is case by case basis, of course. Then if you apply it before February 6th, you should be able to check your status in the database. And just so you know, towards the end of 2022, there have been trials where people have been able to renew their passports online if they fall within a certain criteria. So I could see how that might have slowed things down and people are just trying to get ready for the summer. So if you need a refresher on how to renew your passport by mail, here's how you do that. A lot of countries require that your passport be valid for at least 6 months. What does the passport renewal process actually entail? Let's get into it. You should meet certain qualifications to be able to renew your passport by mail. You must first have your passport, your original passport, in possession so that you can submit it with the application. You must make sure it's undamaged, other than normal wear and tear. It was issued when you were 16 or older. Was the original passport issued within the last 15 years? Was it issued with your current name, or you can document your name change? And if you answer no to any of these questions, you're not able to renew your passport by mail. If you're eligible to renew your passport by mail, you must first fill out the DS-82 form. And it's for eligible individuals for passport renewal application. You can either do it by PDF and using a tool such as PDF Escape to fill it out, or you can use the form filler. The form filler takes you to another link within the government's website, and you have to basically read the privacy policy and agree to the terms. And once you have done that, you hit submit. You need your recent passport book, a printer, and Adobe Reader. So this is what happens when you click online form and you put in your information, and I won't go through all of this, but this is what it looks like, and you keep going through next until you get this form. So this is the form. It's going to print this out when you're done. And basically all the questions that we talked about as far as qualifications have it here. So if you answer no, you can't even fill out this form, as I mentioned. And it goes through and shows you where you can mail it. And there's routine service, and based on if you live in certain states, and then here's the address for expedited service. So you want to pay attention to those addresses and which one you're going to send it to. And basically the form will be filled out. If you choose to fill it out via hand, you must use black ink only, or you can use the form filler, which I showed you earlier. It'll have all the information filled out. So this is how the form looks. You'll only need to include, of course, these 2 pages when you mail it in. You do not need to mail in these other informational pages. After this video, check out the Travel Well store where you can get free shipping for using the code YouTube and get passport stamp mask as well as passport stamp tees. Let's talk about how much the passport fees actually cost. You can use the fee calculator on the travel.state.gov website, and this shows you fill out the information. So if you're US, where you reside is in the US, you put your information in. For purposes of this video, I'm just going to put this arbitrary date. And have you ever had a US passport? Yes, I still have it in my possession. No, it is not damaged. And no, I am not replacing a limited validity passport. And again, I'm just going to put oops. And no, I do not require changes. I'll get to what happens if you need changes in a minute for your name. And I'm simply going to apply for the book. And no, I do not want the passport card. I'll link the fee calculator in the description of this video so you can always reference it. If you're getting value from this already, go ahead and hit the like button. Now, the fun part is you must provide one photograph. And if you remember back on the application, there is a spot for the photograph. You can take the photo yourself, or you can go to a store and get it taken. If you decide to take it yourself, you can go to a link on the travel.state.gov website, and it shows you the photo tool where you can upload the photo and see that it matches the requirements. I actually went to CVS to have my photo taken. I started at Walgreens, but unfortunately their system was down. So I would advise you, if you use like Walgreens or CVS, to call ahead and make sure, one, the machine works, and two, someone's actually going to be there to take your photo. Some other best practices are to make sure that you submit a color photo. It was taken in 6 months. Use a clear image of your face, no filters. Have someone else take it, no selfies. And like I mentioned earlier, no eyeglasses. And use a plain white or off-white background. And since knowing all of that, that's why I decided just to go to CVS, because I just wanted to make sure I had everything right and I don't have photo paper. So it just eliminated the process of me having to do all of that. So basically, once I was at CVS, they took my photos. I had to take it a couple of times because they run the photo through a biometric passport photo, which is basically like a photo tool I showed you earlier. And they make sure, this is where the photo would be, I've blocked it out, but they make sure that the image size and all of that matches before they give it to you to purchase. And here is the cost. It came out to $14.99. So this is separate from what we talked about earlier, depending on which method. So this is an additional cost that you need to consider. And I would advise you to make sure you have a good stapler on hand. I don't own a stapler, and I used the stapler at CVS, and it actually punctured my photo, so I ended up not using it. So test that stapler before you use it on the photo. Thankfully, I got 2 photos for $14.99, so I was able to use my second photo. So once you have that photo, you want to staple it and make sure that it's vertical along these lines in the corners. And I stapled it as close to the corners as I could without ruining these boxes. Okay, so now that you've done all that, you printed off your application and you have your old passport and you have your photo attached to the application and you have your check or money order. You want to mail in the application, and you mail it in at the post office. Do not use FedEx or UPS, and you don't want to just drop it in the normal mail. You want to mail it so that you have a trackable number with it. And I basically paid for a priority mail envelope, and I put all the documents inside of this envelope, made sure that it was big enough so I don't have to fold it. And I chose the expedite method. So on the outside of the envelope, I had to write expedite. And also I needed to make sure I mailed it to the correct address for expedites. And the cost to mail it, I did priority and 2-day, and it came up to like $7 from where I live. So that's another fee that you have to consider when you mail off, or just a part of your whole passport renewal process. So once it's mailed off, you of course have your tracking number so you can see when it arrives, but how do you track the status of your passport renewal? So basically you're gonna go to travel.state.gov to the passport application status. And there is a disclaimer that it may take up to 4 weeks from the day you apply until your application status is in process. During these 4 weeks, your application is delivered to a mail facility, your payment is processed, and your application is scanned and sent to us. Basically, what you're going to do is go through this online passport system to click the status. You're going to, of course, read the privacy and disclaimers and hit submit. And here is where you would enter your information. Once my passport arrived, it took maybe a day or two for it to show in the system that they received it. Although I know they received it, it just took a little bit of time for it to update in the system. I stalk this website all the time, and there is a spot for you to enter your email address on the application, and that is how you receive updates. And then when you go to this website to track it, you can also, confirm that you have the correct email address is there. I didn't even get anything until they said that it was processed. And I got an email saying they received it probably like 3 weeks later, and it's probably because I kept stalking the website. Maybe it finally triggered an email saying we received it. Here's what the emails look like. I basically got a series of emails on the same day that says your application was approved and we're now printing your passport book and prepared to give it to you. And then I got another email. We sent your passport via USPS Express Mail. And if you remember earlier, I talked about how I paid an additional $17 and some change to get it in 1 to 2 days. And then it says approved. So I got the same email again. And then I got another email saying that it was shipped. It gave me a tracking number. And then it gave me, to check status, I could either use that tracking number, like clicking the hyperlink, or calling in. And also, it reminds me that I will not get my original passport back until at least 10 days after. So don't be alarmed if they do not come in the same package. So that's the U.S. passport renewal process. It's pretty straightforward. If you do happen to expedite and you don't get it back expeditiously, you can also request a refund on that. And I will mention that when I got my new passport, it came with some documents, of course, the standard, your journey begins now that you get with your original passport. And it reminds you where your documents are. So I hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, be sure to like it. And also share this video to people that need this and need to know about the passport renewal process. If you have any questions, leave me a comment. And again, I'd love it if you subscribe. I post weekly videos around travel, lifestyle, and tech.